Okay, for this project, I chose Japan's Sakurajima. So it's located on the island of Kyushu in southern Japan. It's a caldera stratovolcano, and it's one of the most active volcanoes in Japan. And it sits close to the city of Kagoshima, which is inhabited by about 600,000 people. And the most recent eruption of this was of February of 2023. And the first recorded eruption is actually dated to the 8th century. So here's a map of Sakurajima, and it's located in the Kirishima Kinkawan National Park, and you can see a view at the Hira observation point. And there's also like a lava trails, and it's really known for their cherry blossom trees that you can see in some of the pictures too. And so it's located on a subduction zone where the Pacific plate goes under the Philippine sea plate. And with the melting of the oceanic plate, the magma actually wells up and can create these like really crazy explosions. And it's also a stratovolcano, and it produces pyroclastic flows and effusive eruptions. And some historical eruptions include the one in 1914, and that connected it to the Osumi Peninsula, and an eruption from about 1471 to 1476, and that was a really massive Plinian eruption. And that was the most destructive one in recorded history. And there's been multiple explosions recorded in history, and it really remains a large tourist spot too. And the name loosely translates to Cherry Blossom Island. Um, and Sakurahima is the goddess of flowers and volcano. So that's where the name comes from. And for one of the app elements, we're going to have an interactive time lapse in the 1914 eruption, where the island that Sakurajima was located on emerged into the mainland of Japan. So that's going to be kind of an interactive element of the app. And there's also going to be an interactive hike. So at each point in hikes, the visitors can scan a QR code and kind of tell about like how the volcano formed, like fun facts and other just general information. So that'll help tourists learn more about um, the volcano. So eruptions at Sakurajima have been stromboli in nature, and they can be really destructive. So some hazards include some pyroclastic flows, tephras, and tsunamis. And the most destruction one, as I previously mentioned, was in 1471 to 76. And the surrounding city of Kagoshima is still like really high at risk for being affected by these really large eruptions. Another interactive app element can see like all the hazards of volcanoes, and they can learn about like the likelihood of the eruptions, and they can see how far like a particular eruption can travel and like the effects on the surrounding areas. Um, so a monitoring function that can be really helpful for Sakurajima can be remote sensors. So a maximum of 12 sensors can be used to monitor the volcano, and they can relay information in real time to interpret data. So then they can actually sense seismic activities. And so the users of these apps can see the sensors that have been installed on or near Sakurajima. You can see any seismic activities, and they can see how active the volcano is being at that time. And so crisis planning, the crisis management bureau management division is a government agency that handles any responses to an eruption in Sakurajima. So there are 32 shelters, 20 evacuation houses, and ports. And there's also a sign on what cities or municipalities to go to in case of an eruption. So in the app, there'll be like a section for steps in case of an eruption, and the section for the Kagoshima cities, like actual guidelines as well. They have a little pamphlet for that. And the app will also use like the person's location to see if they're in harm's way, and they can see each of the evacuation centers too with that. And here are the sources.